Everybody.
Hi everybody. Welcome to this special video from Tarot for Today, Divine Dabblings with,
Oberon.
and me, Banshee. Today, we're here to discuss a serious issue. We're here to discuss the coronavirus that is affecting the world, not just the United States, but the entire world is affected by this, and we felt it was important to do a reading on, the implications of this virus and see if we can offer some insight to our community about, what's happening, what the future looks like.
So we formulated some questions that we want to go through to ask Tarot how it works, and we are here to film that and then give that to you and hopefully have discussion, have more information. Like some of our other videos, it's possible that we will want to revisit this in a few weeks or longer to update some of that.
Right.
All right, so I guess we're going to get going.
And this is kind of a multifaceted reading, so we're going to be using different decks for this reading because we also want to see if some cards come up more than once. Let's say, I don't know, the Four of Cups, whatever, the Devil. If it comes up in different parts of the reading, there may be a significance to that we can look at and talk about. So for the different layers of this reading, we're going to be doing different decks. So we get going?
Right, and first we have to clear our space.
We tried to remove the cat from our view so that we'll be able to lay the cards out and you'll be able to see them. But anything goes around here, the cat may be back.
So let's hit it.
Let's hit it now while we have a chance. So the first cards we're going to draw are going to be basically, what do we need to know right now about coronavirus 19? What do we need to know and think about right now? I'm going to give them to Mr. O to shuffle. I've already shuffled them a little bit myself. And I'm going to also be writing and recording the cards as we draw them because I want a record of this, although I know I will have the video. We hope everybody is staying safe and taking this seriously. It's just a major impact on our way of life right now. So what do we need to know right now about the coronavirus?
And do you want to hold them up to this camera too?
Yes, I will. So basically what I've drawn is the Ten of Wands upright. Wow. I have drawn Strength reversed. And I have drawn the Two of Pentacles upright. And wow, this is really fascinating, is it not? Obviously, the Ten of Pentacles, the Ten of Wands is talking about burdens, how difficult this struggle is to, control and contain this virus and, the different struggles that people have going on for them right now.
In this context, it is a
Powerful.
weighty burden. It is the burdenous burden of all.
So since this is an Okay, so we drew those cards and they are very powerful ones. We have the Ten of Wands here. And what I have to say about that is all the burdens, this is placing on society and every part of our lives, from managing the virus itself and its transmission to the way we shop, the way we live, the way we eat, the way we work, the way we go to school, everything.
The burdens almost feel like enslavement in a way. The idea that literally there is no recourse from what has to be done, no escape.
And then we drew the Strength card reversed, and the Strength card reversed, wow, just shows that, I think it's showing our vulnerabilities, physical vulnerabilities to this virus, which is, they're still not really completely sure about how it's being spread. Because now I saw an article today that indicated that the spread might be happening with people that are showing no symptoms whatsoever. And before they were saying, well, it was people that showed symptoms that, transmit the virus. So it's showing our vulnerability and our weakness, I think, in managing this crisis.
This second card to me also shows that from that point of view of what do we need to know, what we need to know is that there will be a lot of people who will not be able to apply reasonable standards of respect and dignity here. People are going to overreact. People are going to go to aggressive stances, misuses of strength and force because they are not in touch with the healing of the heart that we will really need to have.
And then the third card is the Two of Pentacles upright. And the Two of Pentacles upright is basically showing how we are trying to juggle and balance the situation as best we can. We're trying to find the way to mitigate this so we can still kind of have some normalcy in our everyday lives.
I always feel that card indicates a sense of balance, but without necessarily comfort. Like some things we can balance and we can feel comfortable. Hey, I got this. This one is like, I barely got this. I got it, but check back tomorrow.
Yeah, seriously. I think all three of these cards really show some of the magnitude of what we're going through here. So we're going to go on to the next set, and Mr. O is going to use one of his decks. And set 2 is basically we're going to draw 3 cards, and we're going to try to figure out exactly, we're going to draw 2, well, I'll explain it in a minute. We're going to draw 3 cards that will show the impact with the world's governments. What impact will the world's governments have on this crisis now and in the future? So we're basically drawing 6 cards. 3 for now, which is going to be what? From now for the next
60 days.
60 days. And then the future will be after 2 months going maybe towards year's end. We just want to see where things are leading. So how will world governments manage this situation? I guess it's what impact will world governments have. I want to get that clear. Sorry. All right, I'm going to cut. All right. Hope they're all in camera view. I might be off a little bit. My apologies if I am.
Well, we have this camera.
But we will show all the cards to you that we have drawn. Oh my goodness. We have right now, the first card I drew was the 10 of Swords upright. Judgment reversed. I'm sure we're going to have some things to say about that one, aren't we, Mr. O? And then the King of Wands reversed. And now this is the present. So let's deal with this set first. Wow. Right now, I think people are feeling really betrayed in a way, by some of their government's handling of this case. Maybe people feel that things haven't happened quick enough, or maybe they feel some of the things that the governments have put in place has definitely not been in their best interests.
10 of Swords specifically would speak to the sense of entrapment or evil forces literally having their way with you. The idea that something evil has won, or that there is a true sense of hopelessness or defeat. And when you're thinking about the government, maybe many of us are thinking that.
Well, and we're broadening this to the world environment. So, we could just look at some things. For example, are governments being truthful to their people about the impacts of this virus and the extent of the virus? In other words, are they protecting economic interests over people? Are they protecting their reputations over people? Do they want people to still travel to their country, so they're covering up totals? Are they, there's all kinds of implications to this 10 of Swords and what it could be talking about.
Yes, and then the second card, Judgment Reverse, seems to indicate just at the very sheer obvious nature, bad decisions, bad judgments, possibly
karmic.
possibly karmic, but also possibly things that are being kept hidden too, things that are happening that we don't know about. It doesn't speak specifically to secretly, but with the idea of bad decisions and government, we're going to say that these are things that, could be not under public view, public knowledge or awareness.
And we have the King of Wands reversed. Excuse me. That's just a cough because something went down the wrong way. I am not sick. So the King of Wands reversed, to me, if we're taking this on a more broader level with leadership in the world, is showing leadership kind of run amok, or maybe just, their management skills are not on top of this. But there's one thing.
There's no leader. There's no compelling, charismatic, magnetic, attractive, believing, trustful leader that any of us see.
We can depend on, right? Mm-hmm. And there's one thing that I think we have to keep in mind in all of this with the present is, many of these leaders and all of us really haven't seen anything, the scope of this in our lifetimes.
Right.
And so, we can't totally fault our leaders on this unless they have unscrupulous motivations. And some of that, I will say, is indicated by this Ten of Wands reversed and maybe the Judgment. But remember, keep in mind that I think, this is a process right now.
Yes.
All right, so let's see what the future holds after 2 months from now. Will we kind of get it together here with our governments? Well,
not high marks.
We have the Three of Pentacles reversed. We also have the Knave of Wands, which is the Page of Wands, upright. And good news, we have the Ace of Pentacles upright. I think most of this is relatively positive, except for that 3. To me, these cards together, if I'm looking at them together, kind of indicate that it's going to take a lot of trial and error. It's going to take learning curve and making a number of mistakes.
That is a card of that. That card sort of does sense that there's an idea that there's more work to do, that the praise is still coming, but you have to work harder. You have to make sure you are not misusing what you know.
Thank you. Yeah, perfect. And okay, with the Knave of Wands upright, it seems to me that there may be some good news coming in terms, and it's going to be after 2 months. I think these next 2 months are going to be difficult work. And then after that, it seems as though there will be some hopeful signs. And when you have the Page of Pentacles upright too.
The Ace of Pentacles.
I'm sorry. Yes. Yeah. Thank you. The Ace of Pentacles upright too.
Don't worry, world markets. You look like you're going to be good.
No. I also, I'm not saying that. But yeah, I didn't want to get into the economy. I believe that is one of our, we don't have an economy question. So it could very well
Segment
be
2.
The world market. But I also look at this as being a very health-oriented card as well, being Earth and Pentacles.
Sure.
It may be a sign that healing is beginning, that things might start turning around after 2 months' time. It may take a little bit longer than 2 months, but during, after 2 months going forward, things are going to start improving. Would you agree?
Very interesting.
I do think that's very interesting. So let me go with my next deck for
question 3.
4. And so basically, it's set 3, I'm sorry. How will the healthcare system hold up during this time? And within this question, we can maybe look for signs of, will they be able to find not necessarily a cure, but maybe a way to stem the increase. Maybe we'll be able to slow down the spread of the virus so things can be managed better. Let's see what we get for this. Yeah, you know what? I didn't throw the economy in there, Mr. O, so I think basically that Ace of Pentacles could be that, but I also think that it is a sign that maybe health will improve. And that 2 up there could be reflective of that too, that 2 of Pentacles we drew.
That is an interesting synergy between them. Yeah. Yes, yeah. I see that.
Here you go. our healthcare system is going to be suffering very greatly by this. And we should really, stand by all of our healthcare workers and try to keep ourselves as healthy as possible to minimize what they themselves are going to be going through. Because not only are they exposing themselves to the disease and virus and those risks, they're just going to be so busy.
They're first line, and if they fall, then the rest of us will fall too.
Okay, let's see what we get. And it's the same deal. 3 cards for each. Well, it's, oh, wow. Okay, well, let's see what we've got. For the present, we have the Queen of Wands in reverse. We have the 6 of Cups upright. And we have Temperance upright. Well, what this is telling me is that I believe that, the healthcare industry right now is looking towards past examples of how these pandemics and, like flu pandemics and things from the past have impacted us, and, maybe using some of that knowledge to guide them in how they're preparing, for the crisis of. So with this second row, having the Queen of Wands reversed tells me that I think that we have been kind of unprepared. Again, this is showing they're, scrambling to try to get control. Different areas of the world have their own particular problems with this, and, they have X amount of hospital beds available, X amount of equipment and masks and stuff. And they're just trying to get their ducks in a row, but they have been failing because they haven't been completely prepared for all of the ramifications.
I almost see the Queen of Wands reverse being a metaphor of sorts for nursing itself, because nursing is really about the healing process and the caring process in a way that's different from what medical science can actually do here. Medical science needs to determine what it is. The nursing part is so important right now because people need to actually have care.
But it's reversed, so how are you?
Well, I'm just saying this has failed.
Oh, I see. I get you.
Yeah.
Well, right. So the other thing about this is, and I'm looking at the 6 of Cups upright, and it's basically that we're trying to look at the past for examples on how to best manage a crisis like that, what mistakes and failures may have been made in the past, and, the good things that may have happened from that past that we should look at for managing this crisis. What do you say about that, Mr. Ope?
Right. This is saying that, to some degree, well, it could also be the other side of that too, that, we don't have to be overly concerned because we've survived these things before, so it could be a nonchalance, an attitude of, this is, child's play. This isn't really going to be a big deal. It could be a little bit of that too.
Really?
To me,
I can't see healthcare taking it this way. I think
not healthcare. I guess you're right.
Yeah, because they've been taking this dead seriously from the beginning. But here's the clincher card. We've got Temperance upright. And all of this is about, all of what we just told you is about trying to find that balance that they need, to make sure the system is stable through this. That's the important thing, because they only have so much equipment, and especially high-end equipment for all the sick people that they're going to get that may need respirators and things that other patients need as well. So they're really trying and struggling very hard to find this balance to provide health care.
Then if I wanted to relook at the Queen of Wands, and I could say that this represents how that struggle is epitomized with the idea that there's not enough good direction and not enough good sense of what?
Boing!
It made something happen.
Sorry. No, would you think this has to do with the level of stress in trying to achieve this? This is a card of, a lot of stress and tension too, and aggression. They really got to move fast. I mean, and it's under a lot of pressure to make sure they're making the appropriate decisions for everybody. Life and death hangs in the balance on this for them.
So let's move further into our future.
Let's take a look
here.
at the future. And the future, well, I'm wishing it was bright and it's interesting. It's not completely, but we do have the King of Coins upright here.
Well, here I go with those financial metaphors.
Well, but it's healthcare, and of course there is implications there. We have the Nine of Wands reversed, and we have the world reversed. So, remember in the previous spot, we talked about government's management of things, and I said that things might get improved as far as government management goes. Maybe they'll free up more funding to help the healthcare system out, etc. But here in healthcare itself, it's still a struggle of sorts, except for this. What do you think, Mr. O?
Well, with that one, it may be indicating to me that to some degree, somebody who maybe is the leader is talking also about the plain facts of financially what this is going to mean to try to fix the problems and try to take care of people. Somebody who can really speak to that and say, this is what it really means.
I guess, considering the question, I can't look at this as an individual person, but I can look at this as maybe, the management qualities associated with this. Healthcare will try to manage things to their best of their financial abilities. Maybe they won't take as hard a hit on this because government is going to help them out. But the problem still remains with being able or unable, I should say in this case, to really have what it takes to get through this crisis even after 2 months from now.
A vantage point.
And this is coupled by the world reversed where success is yet to be won. So I think we're going to be struggling to some extent in managing this throughout the year. That doesn't mean that cases don't go down, but it's still a struggle to manage it all.
Does this say that maybe there's limitations or restrictions put on how healthcare can actually enact? Or is this saying that because of the nature of the situation, these restrictions, limitations are there, that they are fighting an uphill battle because there's so many situations that work against them or don't give them the vantage point, i.e., communities that are afraid to be honest because they're at risk of being, deported, or, people that are just basically, they're with some of the other problems we have in our world. People, it's like the census. People who are immigrants don't want to be counted. Maybe they don't want to be taken care of.
So you're talking about worldwide?
I could be. Because refugees is a worldwide problem. People who are in other countries and maybe are just trying to survive. I'm thinking it's just really limitations on the healthcare system that could be indicative of those kind of challenges. They're not necessarily.
Right, because this is about the healthcare system. I feel that, again, with this reverse, there's still some kind of lack of having, everything they need. Like, for example, maybe the real problem is, hospitals only have so much space. Maybe there's just not enough beds for everybody that they need to accommodate. There's just some things still lacking, and they're still working on it. So in other words, I think, let's just say, for probably the better part of this year, it's going to be a struggle for healthcare. But I do feel there is some positivity and hope. And, maybe this King of Pentacles, again, is about the fact that maybe they will be able to rush process some kind of vaccine, or maybe they will come up with some way to minimize more cases.
Direction and somebody who can pull the financial aspects together, pull all aspects together, because it's really going to take that.
But it's going to take the better part of the year.
It's like a Manhattan Project in a way.
They are going to be stressed, and we need to support our healthcare system. Whatever they need, we need to help them. All right, so the last part of this is going to be how will this impact people and our everyday lives now and in the future part of the year?
And I have brought out the venerable oldest deck I have. Be gentle, Banshee.
Indeed I shall, Mr. O. Indeed.
But it still has some nice color. We wanted to pick decks that had interesting images or nice colors or patterns, so they would show up nice for the camera, of course.
careful. They are very old.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Can you repeat that question one more
I
time?
will repeat it.
All right.
Let me just cut for you. And the question is again, how will this impact people and our everyday lives now and in the future? So ordinary people, everyday lives now and in the future. We do have a repeat card, our first one. Wow. Well, there is some hope here, people. Hang in. But right now we have, again, the King of Wands reversed.
As he was the other time.
Yes. Interesting. Didn't we have the King and the Queen of Wands?
No, we didn't. Oh, we did. Yeah, it's right above him.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Reversed, both of them. We have the Ace of Wands reversed. And we have the Five of Cups reversed. It's kind of interesting. Mm-hmm. Most of it is not good. The Five of Cups isn't terrible, but I would say the King of Wands reversed again is, okay, how's it affecting everyday people? Well, you know what? We're getting a little bit aggressive, pushy, stressed to the max, I would say. And
people are not showing their best selves because...
No. They're running to the grocery store and clearing off shelves. They're thinking of their own interests. I have heard talk that people are buying, adults are buying infant formula for themselves because it lasts longer than milk, which leaves babies without the infant formula they need. So we need to really, it's a selfish kind of card in a way, don't you think?
It's a selfish card. It also, to me, projects the idea that this is somebody who should normally be an attractive, magnetic, capable person who's
persons, because it's everybody.
Who's directing things, who's in charge of things. And this is somebody who's the opposite of that. They're just making decisions only for themselves, and they're not really... So that's a bad thing for society.
We need to be just, we need to be just a little bit more focused on the greater whole. We cannot make it alone in this world, so we have to look out for each other. And again, we're off to kind of a very difficult start here with the Ace of Wands reversed. It's kind of like a false start. It's kind of like, sometimes just we're making a lot of mistakes. But of course, this is something that we haven't faced in our lifetimes.
I would say that this is a sense of in this immediate future, and this is probably because we're in America and it's really finally starting to hit here in America. The sense of depression and helplessness that people are going to feel in this immediate next, couple months or so.
I know.
Here, and feeling like it's not going anywhere good. It's the opposite of a beginning. It's the beginning of an ending.
But I think also what this is indicative of to me, the Five of Cups reversed is kind of what I'm seeing now, and I'm sure is happening worldwide to some extent, is how we're moving away from doing things we normally do. We're moving away and finding different solutions. We're finding, we realize that we have to preserve some of what we have left, but we have to do things differently. We have to make moves in a different direction.
It's what that means, the Five of Cups reversed. It's also that we have to really re-question a lot of our values totally, and that many of us are going to be making very different choices that we never thought we were going to be making, that we're going to be moving into some really startling different directions.
So what does the future hold for us in our everyday lives after 2 months from now? I'm happy to report I have some positive, upbeat news. We have the Three of Wands upright. We have the Nine of Cups upright. And we have the Page of Swords upright.
Well, this means nothing less to me than saying that by the end of the year, we will have news, not necessarily the thing, but we will have news that they will really be close to finding out what they can do to stop it. A cure, a vaccine, whatever. I'm thinking this is saying by the end of the year, We know it'll be a matter of time. We're waiting for this to happen. It is our fondest desire, the Five of Cups. It is the wish of humankind. And it is but for the grace, tact, diplomacy that those who stayed focused accomplish that.
Yeah, I feel that the Three of Wands is us looking forward to the future with a little bit more positivity. The Nine of Cups clearly shows that, things are turning around in a more positive direction, a positive manner.
I feel a Beatles song. It's getting better all the time.
know?
I hope so. I really do.
And the Page of Swords sort of indicates to me, too, that, justice will prevail in some ways. Things will start to kind of iron themselves out.
It's a card of skill.
Yeah,
it's a
that's
card
true.
of talent. And it's a card of youth. And it's maybe thinking really young minds are going to figure out things that are going to help us. Maybe it won't be about the cure, but maybe it'll be about fundamental changes to our lifestyles that will really have a good impact for us. Maybe making changes. Because, beyond this is such a wake-up call for really the world and society in general. Are we going to always be killing each other off and finding ways to take over each other's countries, etc., etc., etc.? Are we going to learn how to live in peace, learn how to cure the world's ills?
Well, it's interesting you say all that because I think about the Page of Swords in a way could indicate to me that logic and reasonable minds will come up with the solutions that will, bring us back to some more normalcy in our lives. So I feel that it is very hopeful here. But, I had an idea here that maybe we should throw some additional cards, and I brought the Crow's Magic Tarot for that. We're going to take these down now. Well, do we want to do a final?
Yeah, you know what? I want that there for a few moments. What are you talking about?
Well, we don't need to take this down then. We can just show the cards for this last
Sure,
reading.
we can do it right here and do it.
Yeah. So what I wanted to do is a yes-no reading that's basically, will we be able to stop or slow the spread of this virus and when? See if possibly, we don't always get it, but possibly if in our yes-no reading we see any timing factors involved.
And for this one, let's just briefly go over the decks we used. Our first spread was...
The Pagan Cat's Tarot.
Right. The second one was Nefertari's Tarot, the Golden Images.
The Cyril Marchetti.
Marchetti. And then my Key Tarot, it's a Rider-Waite. I forget the real name of it. It's got keys on the back.
Now I'm using the Crow Tarot.
MJ Cullenhane's Crow Tarot, which we love using for our regular day tarot readings.
Yeah, you don't get to see the cards, but we always draw from this for our tarot for tomorrow.
We love this deck.
Yep. I'm almost ready.
Okay.
Sorry, just wanted to give it a little extra here.
Leave us a comment when you view this. Like, share it, comment it. Tell us if you want us...
own commentary on what you feel these cards meant.
Tell us if you want us to do more elaborate readings on this subject or follow-ups of any sort.
Right, if there's any direction you'd like to see us take it in more specifically. We wanted to leave this rather open and not get too sensational about the type of questions like, are we all going to die and stuff like that.
If you have longer comments or points to make, you might want to send it to our Gmail. But also, you can leave the comments here on YouTube. You can leave them on our Facebook TFT Tarot for Today page, or also our Twitter at TFT Tarot #4 Today. We'd be happy to hear more about what you thought about this reading, where we should go from here, and what all of us can do to make something better happen. And Banshee's counting off those cards.
Well, it is leaning towards no.
What was the question? How was it asked
Well, it was
again?
basically, will we be able to stop and slow the spread of this virus and when? And I would say if there was a when, it sounds to me like it's going to be, well, I don't know, we have a wand and we have a pentacle. And so it sounds to me like it might be later this year. The wand is more immediate or fast moving, but that pentacle is slow.
Well, what jumps out to me is the Hermit reversed, and I guess what that tells me is that we're not going to have enough people isolating themselves, that this virus is going
What
to
a
spread
good
because
point.
people are going to do business as usual, at some point resume business as usual. They're not going to try to self-isolate, which we think would help mitigate the spread and alleviate the strain on the hospital healthcare resources.
This is such a big hit economically, and kudos to the businesses right now that are limiting public exposure as much as possible and limiting their employees to being exposed and, switching to work at home and all of that stuff that's making a difference and emptying the schools. Kudos. It's not an easy decision, but it's very helpful.
It has to
And I
happen.
see your point here that we may not get there because a lot of people still, even still, are not taking this as seriously as they should.
The page also tells me too that maybe people are not diving in deep enough and exploring this level on an intuitive, philosophical level, really getting into that idea of research, study. Where people are just not listening to those ideas there. Maybe they're disregarding what science or education says about that.
So I'm wondering if this indicates that this is going to be, even if they, like we had some positive stuff here, I'm wondering if this is indicating that maybe this virus is going to be somewhat of a thorn in our side for some time to come. In other words, the spread will lessen, things will go down, but it's not necessarily going to go away yet. I have a feeling maybe that is not going to happen until we come up with some kind of vaccine.
Right. We're going to have to learn to live with it. And it's kind of interesting because for 40 years or so, we've been living in an age of pandemics. We've had Ebola, we've had HIV, and to some degree, communities and societies have had to learn how to live with these things. And so some of the flow of deaths to these other problems, diseases, has started to change, has shifted over many years, but it's no time to let it go. We got to keep vigilant.
So really, I think the takeaway from this in relation to the other cards is this is not going to be a quick process. And there might be some lifestyle changes that will end up being permanent. There may be some financial ramifications that will affect us more long term that we're going to have to work our way through. But there is still plenty of hope here in these last three cards we drew in the spread about our everyday lives. We will come to terms with this. We will find some common ground and way to get through this. It's going to take some time, maybe more time than people realize right now. So the more proactive we can be at present, I feel, the better. Do you want to go into anything else over here, Mr. O, or do you think
No,
that
I think
about
we're
sums
good.
it up nicely?
I think we've summed it up well.
Well, I want to thank everybody, in advance for viewing this and letting us do this reading. I think this is just something we felt we really needed to do at this point in time.
Please share this near and far with everyone. It's important.
And do take care of yourselves, take the necessary precautions, and we wish everybody safety and good health and healing if you are sick.
Blessed be.
Blessed be. We'll see you soon.